Commissioners have done a reasonably good job considering their experience, their past history, but it's time for something different, in my opinion. Things that used to work aren't working. So they've been more reactive than proactive. The previous commission before the election of Commissioner Maine, when John Griffith was there, those three looked ahead knowing that the timber funds are going to be depleted and eliminated in just a few years. So they damped down the county to approximately half the employees that were there about 10 years ago. I don't have the numbers in my head. Knowing that in future years they were going to be in this position that we're in. Curry County, for example, did not, and now they're really hurting. They're suffering down there, our neighbors to the south.
Let's digress for a minute and just give us I guess, a brief overview of who you are. You said you chose Coos Bay to retire in. I'd like to know why, and where are you from?
Well, I grew up on the East Coast, suburb of New York City, and moved west in 1973 because it was too crowded. I just didn't want to raise my family where I grew up, which it was nice when I was a youngster. So I moved to the West Coast in 1973. I've had a career in data processing, naturopathic medicine, and marketing. And then I chose to, did I say choose? You don't say. I chose to retire on the Oregon coast and went to Langlois first. But with a population of 250, it was just too quiet. I finished writing my play there, but then I moved to North Bend, closer to civilization, and it's comfortable. Rush hours between 5 and 5:15. You know, it's pretty nice. I like it.
So you're a playwright. What play did you write?
I wrote a play called MM, semi-biographical, and it had a world premiere at the Egyptian Theater in April of 2 years ago. 2006? No, 2007. 2 years ago.
Well, that's great. So then, aside from your data processing and your community outreach in other areas, what qualifies you to be county commissioner?
Well, legally, I have to be a resident for a year, and 21 or over, and I've done the over part at least 3 times now, 3 times 21. So a lot of it has to do with the desire, which is what I look for when I work with actors putting on a play. If you want to be in my play, I'm looking at desire more than acting ability. And what's happened in Washington, D.C., what's happened in Salem, has motivated me for the first time in my life to get up and put my hat in the ring. I'm still surprised that I'm in this space.
And the seat you're running against belongs to who?
Nikki Whitty is position number 2. She's in her 7th year as commissioner. And Kevin Stufflebean is position number 1. And he has 2 people that have announced for that seat. And those 2 do not compete with each other. So whatever happens with position number 1 doesn't have an effect on me, and vice versa. Some people are confused, thinking the top 2 vote getters get the 2 positions.
I see. So in other words, you have to file for one position or the other.
Exactly.
And you cannot win by default if you've got more votes, and let's say you're in position 1 and you had more votes than the top vote getter in position 3. You couldn't, that person for position 1 could not go over to position 3.
Correct.
I see.
That's the way it's set up.
Are there any other types of changes you would make to perhaps how the county commission meetings are run, or?
Well, right now I'm studying home rule county government. 9 counties in the state have opted for this provision by the Oregon Constitution. And basically what's done there is that the paid positions of county commissioners are replaced with a professional manager, much like what Coos Bay or North Bend has, you know, a city manager or administrator. And the commissioners can be expanded to a larger number. Most of them are 5 commissioners, but instead of being paid salaried county people, they volunteer just like the city councilors do in North Bend, Bandon, Coquille, Coos Bay.
So that salary then that is currently paid, I believe it's around $60,000 a year to each county commissioner.
Salary is $60,000 plus the benefits.
Okay, so you would be in favor of giving those up to have a type of county manager?
I'm not yet in favor of it. I'm studying it, and I'm actually thinking of having a forum where people can come forward and discuss the ideas. I want to hear from the people. I want to hear from you. I'd like to know what's on your mind. The county government will operate better if those in charge know what's going on. Just like you as a citizen know more about the county government because of what we've done with these meetings, and makes for a better government. A well-informed person or populace makes for better government in my mind.
And I agree with you. But it seems to me that a lot of the meetings are very hard to understand and very hard to really get a grasp of what the issues there are. And perhaps it goes back to that transparency and making it in simple language where the populace can understand.
That's exactly what I was referring to. Greater communication and greater transparency. 'Cause I've seen it for the last 100 meetings, going to Coquille every week. People would say, can you explain that in English to us? Or, I didn't know what you said last week, what it meant. I had to go look it up.
Why is it that way?
Well, there is a portion of this that has to be very legal. They have counsel sitting there during the meeting, so nothing happens that would reflect on a decision that they make. So the state has a lot of regulations on how to do certain things or to express in legal terms certain functions. But for the people, the ordinary folks, it's a little bit difficult. There's a step process that you have to go through to really understand it. And even those that think they understand it usually don't understand all of it. It's complex.
So when are the county meetings?
Well, starting the first week in December, they're going to meet on Tuesday mornings at 9:30, county courthouse and the commissioner's hearing room.
I see, every Tuesday.
Well, almost. It's scheduled weekly, but once in a while they do not have a meeting.
I see. So 9:30 in the morning, a lot of the people who